What's up guys, it's the Blind Man here with the first in what is hopefully many game reviews to come, and today we're going to be starting out with Palworld, the pre-release. I'm sure you've heard about it, it's been all over the internet, it's been blowing up on Steam, it's been really high in the concurrent users, and we're going to talk about why. We're going to talk about some of the bugs that could be worked out, but also the potential this game has, which honestly, I'm going to say this probably a lot in this video, but the game has really good bones, and we're going to talk about why. I'm sure you've already heard this, but many people have called this game Pokemon with guns, and it's not too far off, but I think it's a little bit of an overblown comparison. There obviously are guns, and there are characters that people say look like Pokemon. Well, I do think that it's changed enough to where you could probably say, at the very least, that they could change a few assets and things would look better and not look like Pokemon quite as much. I get where the comparison comes from, but honestly, the way this game plays out and the gameplay is, I think if you change the assets, I don't think people are going to get too upset. There are a lot of people out there saying, I just don't have an attachment to them like I do my Pokemon. Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, Pokemon had a game series with it, so of course you don't have the same attachment. But that'll develop over time, and honestly, the way this game plays is a lot of fun. I do feel like I may actually at some point in this video though get a call from PETA. Rather than calling this game Pokemon with guns, I think a better description would actually be Ark with Pokemon, because this is basically what it's about. It's a survival game where you can do crafting like you see here. There's a bunch of different crafting and base building mechanics, but then also, as you can see here, one of the things I would love to see tweaked is that you have to hold the button to actually build things, and it can take forever instead of just a toggle, which would be so much nicer.
2 hours later.
Better pals would definitely speed up this process, but honestly, that's one of those little quality of life things that can actually be worked out with the toggle button that makes things so much nicer. Along with this, I mean, you've heard about it, I'm sure. The pals are just not exactly the smartest when it comes to figuring out how to get out of issues or getting unstuck in general. As you can see here, my pal went to sleep on top of my base. I don't even know how it got up there, but yeah, it went to sleep on the base. And then guess what? Another one got up there somehow, and they're both hungry. 3 of them actually. So this is an issue I've run into a lot. This is another one of those, I've said the bones are good. These are issues that can be worked out, but they are definitely early release issues that you're going to see quite a bit here. As you can see right now, I've got a pal that's stuck, right? You'd think he could get out, but no, he's stuck on the edge of the base, and he's stuck right there, and what I have to do to get him out is I actually have to pick him up, and I'm going to have to throw him at his food. I feel like the song should be playing I Can Be Your Hero, because honestly, that's what I feel like I have to be doing for a lot of these pals. There are other ways of getting your pals unstuck, and as you can see here, I'm going to go do one of them, and it's still confusing. I have to go in here and go into my inventory. I have to go take the pals out of working and then put them back in, and when you have multiple of the same ones, sometimes it's kind of hard to tell which pal is which. So when I go back here and look, I got a couple of them, but I still got 2 that are stuck. And this happens quite a bit. I've spent more of this game doing that than I would like. But again, when I said the bones are good, that's really because doing this is something that's eventually going to get fixed. And buying this game, it depends on if you're okay with doing some of these little minor things like that. Which really, yes, it gets annoying, but you know it's going to get worked out. I mean, as many people bought this game, you know that's going to be fixed in the roadmap, and it really doesn't seem like it's something that's going to be that terribly difficult for them to fix, so it's probably going to be coming sooner rather than later. The next part of this game is bandit camps, and this is a thing you'll find very early on, but to be honest, it's a pretty forgettable part of the game. But again, it's something that I think they'll be able to work out and make more interesting. Currently, right now, yes, I'm overpowered to be going into this bandit camp, but also at the same point in time, it really, I mean, it's pretty easy all the way around once you get geared up and get a few of your pals, it's not that bad. The cool thing I do like is that you rescue one of the pals, and I think that's going to be something they'll be able to expand on a little further, put some other pals in there to rescue, maybe make some harder bandit bases, camps, whatever you want to call them, that are more rewarding. Another part of this game is world bosses, and as you can see here, they're just basically giant versions of the pals that you've already captured or already fought, but they're usually a little better in terms of when you catch them, they have some better traits or things like that, but also they give you a technology point for beating them, and honestly, I do think this mechanic is going to get a lot better with future PvE, and they have a lot of multiplayer additions planned in the roadmap for this game. So I think honestly this is something that's just going to continue to get better, especially as they add more pals and add more different bosses as pals. Because honestly, the actual mechanics here, doing the roles like you would in a Souls game, it's fun. I really did enjoy it, and having your pal there with you, kind of tanking for you even when you don't have somebody else in the game, it's still pretty fun. The next part of the game is caves, and from this it's a slight step up here, and it does another weird thing that I would love for them to fix, but again, a super easy fix. As you can see, my pal is out, I go into the cave, and now my pal is not out. So while I'm sitting here looking around the cave, trying to show you guys what the cave's gonna look like, well, I get hit in the head, and that's fine, it's my fault. But there's also little things here like this. So if you look, there's two pathways, and the one on the right with the water, not specifically the right, but the path with the water always seems to lead to the boss. Again, an easy fix, but if somebody is hoping for more of a maze, more of a confusing dungeon, it's not so much there yet. And then also there's big empty places occasionally like this. I felt like I was going to get attacked by something. Maybe I'm used to Souls games, but I never saw anything. Then at the end of it is a giant world boss, which again, I really think these are cool, and I think these will be great. The dungeons as well, I think will be better with some fine tuning. But again, I keep saying this, the bones are good. All these things can be ironed out and made better over time. This particular boss wasn't much of a challenge because I was way over leveled for it, but some of them are actually really difficult, especially if they're over your level. You really notice that they're pretty difficult to beat when they're over your level. And then at the end of it, it's pretty cool what you get. You get a schematic for it usually. You get two boxes here and you exit out of the cave afterwards. And honestly, it does feel pretty rewarding for beating them. And I do think that's actually a good plus to this game. Now, the last part here that we're going to talk about are the towers. These towers are actually pretty cool, the intros to them. They don't say anything, but I do like the way they make the introduction to who you're fighting against in terms of just the way it looks and the graphics to it. I think it's a cool start to it. And then also with the combat system and the way you roll around and the way you have your pal, it does feel almost like one of those battles. You could almost call it a gym battle, but we're not going to. But let's just say instead of a gym battle, it was a tower battle. That's about what this would be. And you go against one giant Pokemon, pal, but instead you have your 6. It's actually pretty difficult. They have some good moves and things like that, but again, it does seem to be pretty level based. So if you way out level something, then you're gonna beat it really easy. If you're well under leveled, you're gonna have a tough time. That's in the middle of the game, but then when you get to the end game, you're just gonna have a tough time, but that's part of the fun of it. Now also, I do want to mention here that the middle of the game to me did feel pretty difficult, but I did it kind of the wrong way. The way I did it was I did not catch 10 of each thing, like the tutorial said, and I did not realize that was such a huge thing in terms of XP, and it really is. You can take out a bunch of different pals, but it's better if you just start catching a bunch of each pal right off from the beginning. Had I followed that part of the tutorial and kept doing it, it probably would have gone much smoother for me in the middle of the game. Now here's another weird thing. This is a dungeon, And it's nighttime where a lot of the pals are sleeping, and also the dungeon pin king that I'm sleeping that's supposed to be ferocious, not so much. If I had to assign this game a number value, I would say based off of what it is now, I would give this game an 8. But if I was going off of potential, I would say 9.5, maybe even 9.75, because to be completely honest, the potential in this game is really, really high. Honestly, I could see this game going a long ways. I don't know if I want to make any comparisons, but what I would say is if you're thinking about buying this game, there's really one question to ask yourself right now, or two, is do you like Pokemon games, and do you like Arc type games, survival type games? Because if you do like one or both of them, then I would say yes, this is definitely a buy right now, even with the bugs that it has. But if you don't like either of those games, honestly, I would not do it. I wouldn't do it yet because that's just, don't buy into the hype. It's not your type of game. But either way, I really enjoyed this game personally. I'm definitely going to keep playing it. I hope you do play it as well. And honestly, in the comments, let me know if you are playing it, what you thought of it. If you think I'm off base with anything, just let me know. I'd love to hear about it. And also let me know how you feel about these reviews. I plan on doing more, but I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Peace.